Back here with Adam Rossow. Okay, we talked about the defense, the low scoring in the first half. It was a completely different outcome, though, in the second half. So what changed for Iowa? What did they do different, or did they do anything different? Was it more execution-based to have that big second half?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. Definitely better execution by the offensive line in particular. I think the first half, as I said, they were kind of feeling the Northern Illinois defense out. They definitely wanted to neutralize their defensive line, so they did a lot of quick stuff in the passing game. And I think in the second half, they just lined it up, and obviously Torrin Young coming into the game, he didn't get a carry in the first half. He gets, I think, the first or second carry of the second half and rips off a 40-yard run. And I think that just kind of relaxed everybody up front. And after that, they really got on a roll. Obviously, the defense got a couple turnovers to give them the ball back. But I think the offensive line, we had Mark Kallenberger, the Bettendorf kid, starting at left tackle. Dalton Ferguson, a fifth-year senior who hadn't played. He's at right tackle. And then Levi Paulson rotating in. And those guys maybe needed to settle in a little more as well. But I think that second half is kind of a preview of what they can do in the run game. And we talked about it before. Nate Stanley didn't have a Nate Stanley type game, and they still won going away. So that's encouraging if you're the Iowa offense.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing how one or two plays can really energize a team that much, especially in the second half of a close game. So you just got done with a story on Torrin Young, shined in the third and fourth quarters, as you mentioned. That 40-yard run was a big one. What should be the takeaway from his performance? Do you think he and Kelly Martin are good complements on the field? And, of course, there's a third guy in the mix there as well that you definitely don't want to forget about.
Yeah, Mekhi Sargent. I mean, Sargent and Kelly Martin got the carries in the first half. And really, it looked like Torrin Young was going to be kind of the odd man out and maybe kind of signal a shift in philosophy from the LaShawn Daniels type, the Sean Green type, even Fred Russell, Kirk mentioned, back in the day, those big bruising running backs, maybe a shift to a guy like Akram Wadley, pass catching on the backfield, a little more wiggle, as they would say, and that's Ivory Kelly Martin. But I think Torrin's performance showed maybe there's room for him too, depending on the team, depending on the situation. Northern Illinois had a more defensive front based more on speed than you'd see out of maybe a Wisconsin or maybe a Michigan. And they exploited that by lining up and running it at him. I think both the plays that he ripped off those long runs were about the same. They ran off tackle or right between the guard and the tackle. Kallenberger had a big block on one of the ones we'll see here in a moment. And I think that got the offense sparked, and they just got some confidence. And it's amazing what confidence will do for some young and inexperienced players.
Yeah, and, it's definitely not a bad problem to have when you have three guys that you're not sure how to delegate time between all of them. When you have those options, you can really exploit matchups, any way you shake it. So you mentioned Mark Kallenberger. Of course, we got to mention him, the former Bettendorf Bulldog, redshirt freshman. Now he's a freshman here. And by all accounts, I mean, he answered the bell today, getting that opportunity to start left tackle in week one, huge opportunity for him. And he really seemed to just seize that opportunity in its entirety. So let's take a listen to what he said, and then we'll discuss afterwards.
Playing at Duval Stadium and Bettendorf is totally different than Kinnick Stadium in Iowa City, so I was really nervous. I know I tried to sleep last night. It didn't really go too well this morning. I was just thinking about it. That first snap went out, and after that it was kind of just easy going for me. It's a dream come true. I remember watching the old Hawkeyes, and just with my grandparents, I remember watching Ricky Stanzi and all of them, just thinking like, wow, this is something I'd really love to do. Getting the opportunity to do it today, it was just an amazing feeling.
For a guy like Mark Kallenberger, right? I mean, a freshman, getting that opportunity and making the most of it.
Yeah, definitely, and we'll see if he gets another shot this week. I mean, they bring back the two tackles that were suspended, Alaric Jackson, Tristan Wirfs. I think they've both been practicing with the first team all preseason camp, so they'll get the start. But I'd expect Mark to rotate in, maybe with Paulson and with Ferguson, spell some of the guys, especially if it's another hot day over at Kinnick against Iowa State. I think Mark really impressed a lot of people yesterday, and he's only a redshirt freshman, as you said, and he's got to put on some more weight. Definitely playing at 285 in the Big Ten probably isn't the ideal weight at left tackle. But, hey, he's got a bright future in front of him. I think he proved yesterday he belongs in the Big Ten.
Yeah, plenty of years ahead for him. Like we mentioned, just hard not to root for the guy. Just exciting stuff. And you mentioned Nate Stanley not having, his best day, especially pretty much a quiet afternoon over there at Kinnick Stadium. But, overall some good things. Was able to run that offense in the second half and, check out of a couple things here. Gets that touchdown to Noah Fant. Overall, what was your assessment of Nate Stanley here in his first game as a junior?
I think the same thing as we said in the first segment. He's a little jittery. Just like most of the team, that pass that got intercepted, he threw into double coverage, tried to have his guy make a play. Maybe not the best decision at that point in time. But after that, as you said, ran the offense effectively, checked in and out of some plays, made a couple third down conversions to T.J. Hawkinson that moved the drive on those first couple scoring drives. And I think that's what you asked him to do, and then the defense took it from there. And then obviously, mentioned in the first block, but Kirk Ferentz with the winningest all-time wins record at Iowa now over Hayden Fry. An emotional time. I'm sure you guys have seen the photos. Kirk was very emotional. I think everybody was emotional yesterday. Just fantastic accomplishment for the guy that's the longest tenured coach in college football.
Yeah, sharing a moment, a very special moment with his son Brian Ferentz there on the sidelines too. So I'm sure he was just full of emotions that day. And you said he got an extra scoop of ice cream or something like that.
That's what he was saying. You never know. He said that tongue in cheek a little bit, I think. But you know how he is. He's very low key. The guy said after the game he didn't even want to celebrate it, but Gary Barta, the athletic director, actually brought the game ball in, and he'd asked the president of the university to not talk about it. He didn't ask Barta. Barta took it upon himself to do that, and obviously, what a moment there in that locker room. Those are the type of things that those guys and everybody involved in the program live for, so I think that was just awesome.
Ferentz, a consistent guy, to say the least. So, yeah, you know, he's never going to throw you too many curveballs in that regard. But, yeah, huge kudos to him for getting that win number 144. Adam Rossow, he's going to be dealing out the Hawkeye headquarters coverage all season long, so be sure to tune in here and on Local 4 News, WHBF as well. Adam, thank you very much for being here with us. And